Hi there, welcome to my video about justice. I wanted to discuss or bring to light my understanding about justice and just a few things that have come up for me around justice and the idea of justice in regards to separated dads, separated families, and access to children, access to your children. And in my situation, I'm a separated dad of just over 6 months now, and everything is a little bit fresh for me. We haven't gone through any court hearing at all around this because I wasn't married to my ex. Everything that exists right now has been built on a foundation of some level of communication with my ex and agreements around that, and how often I see my daughter. I see her once a week, and very glad to. It's usually at the weekends. I'm able to take her away for a weekend away if I wish, with prior arrangements with my ex. And to be honest with you, my current situation doesn't allow me to share access 50-50 completely, because I'm actually homeless. I'm couch surfing and have been doing for the last 6 months. I don't want to complain about that, but that's just the situation as it stands. And so there's no right now no point in me trying to fight for 50-50 access or even ask for it, indeed, because it's just not possible. But it's on my mind that when I do get myself into a place that's appropriate and where I'm able to have my daughter for longer periods of time, how will I go about the discussion with my ex around that? And I've been looking online. There's a lot of information online around access to children, and a lot of it centres around justice. You've obviously got a lot of websites in the UK that have a lot of focus on access and exacting your rights. Fathers for Justice, for example, is a very high profile web entity and community around that. And there's various other websites and Facebook pages where you can look at the stories that are very real for people in this world today. I'm looking at separated dads, and I'm hearing about their situations, just trying to relate to similar situations, and people who are going through similar things to me, perhaps, or already have done. And indeed, there's a bit of a background from already with me, because my parents were divorced. They got divorced when I was 13 and a half, so that's 26 and a half years ago. And yeah, so I have a bit of experience there, or certainly I have a knowledge of how it occurred for my own family when I was a young boy and a teenager. And I have a younger brother as well, and there's no denying that the separation of parents is it can be devastating on children, on the whole family. It's not just children who are impacted; everyone is affected. Now, I've explored a little bit further with my parents about how it all came about. They went through the courts. There was a decision made through the courts, such that my dad had access to my brother and I one weekend every month. And school holidays, we were able to go and see him and go on holiday with him and spend a bit more time with him. And if I, in retrospect, in hindsight, if I go back to my childhood, because we didn't know that the decision was made through the courts, it cast a very unflattering light on my father, perhaps. I didn't think he loved or cared for us at points. Teenage years are pretty chaotic anyway, and it's a time when I believe being involved as a father is quite crucial for boys. We're looking. I'd say I was looking for guidance at that time, and it just wasn't there. Now, as it transpired, my mother, I feel, I still need to explore this further. I need to ask another question, whether it's something that she explicitly requested and felt was something for the better, or whether it was something that was suggested to by her lawyer. I don't know the true facts there. It deserves a bit more discussion, I feel. And it's not the point of exploring it would be not to blame anybody. Not there to blame my mum or my dad. I think when emotions are running high, people get hurt in the splits and hearts are broken. Emotions run high, and if you start making decisions on that basis, I feel it's irrational, not necessarily for the better. And it just made me think, is going through the courts and exacting your perceived rights in regards to access to children, is it the best way forward? And I don't want to go down that route. I'm feeling that no matter what the situation, how the situation occurs and evolves with my ex and the decisions that are made around our daughter, I just don't feel comfortable with the idea of going through the courts, because for one thing, I'm thinking, okay, I am totally irresponsible now. I feel that if I went to that stage, I would no longer feel that I had any answers or had the ability to find any answers about how to resolve things and to create a harmonious, mutual agreement with my ex around my daughter, our daughter. And in fact, I don't own my daughter. I'm of the belief that as parents, we're guardians. I don't own my daughter. So it's funny saying my daughter, that doesn't sit very comfortably with me. She is my daughter and it's just the English language, but hey, that's it. But going back to the point, I think I'd be really disappointed in myself if I felt that I no longer had any answers or could have the resolve within inside me to be patient in seeking out the answers and being able to communicate with my ex on a level that wasn't aimed at getting what I want. It's about what works for all of us. And it brought up another thing, because the impacts of my mum and my dad's divorce are still being felt today. They do not communicate at all. I'm not saying that they should do. But I just think that's rather sad that they don't communicate. They brought us into the world and they spent a significant amount of their life together, and it just made me think, there's a terrible loss there of connectivity between two human beings that once loved each other enough to commit to having children. And it just made me think that they're not reconciled. Either one of them has not truly reconciled with each other. And it made me think about my relationship with my ex, and I'll be honest, I was the one who broke my ex's heart through my actions, my behaviours, which I'm not proud of. And before any conversation occurs around our daughter, and what happens there, and how we bring her up, and all of the multitude of choices and different ways of doing things, how we communicate it. Before that, there needs to be reconciliation, and that's the foundation, I believe, in which I will be able to communicate with my ex and create harmonious relationships with her. And the whole thing about reconciliation, that's a whole other subject matter. I actually used that word in some communication with her when we were not really communicating. I had sent her a letter stating my desire for reconciliation, but without any backup about what that really meant. I'm not talking about the definition of reconciliation either. It's good to have a look at what it actually means in a dictionary, and in that sense, it gives a clue. In my mind, I know what it means. It means to be on friendly terms. That's what it means. Another definition, if you look in the Oxford English Dictionary online, which is free, it also states that it's the coming together of two opposed views and to make one belief compatible with another. And that's a clue. It's two people coming together. And indeed, I don't get to choose really if we're reconciled, if reconciliation has occurred, because my ex will have a say in that as well. It's got to be mutual. It's got to be a bringing together of that. And I understand how that's very difficult when hearts have been broken and emotions are running high. It's not easy to navigate that, for sure. But when you're thinking about a child in the mix, it adds another layer to it, and it's something that I personally am committed to exploring in great depth, and not giving up on that, and seeking reconciliation with my ex, because I just believe that's a platform for co-parenting and for true, honest, open communication where it works for all of us, and the benefit really is for our daughter. I don't want the learning of our daughter to be that when relationships break up, that's it. It's absolute. There's zero communication and things don't work, because there's, for every story where that does happen, there's another story where there's tremendous success and where the dynamics of the family work. They make it work, and I'm committed to that. I'm not committed to the idea of exacting my rights or justice, or feeling that is ever really a solution. Because when I think about going to the courts, I really do feel that I would be giving up responsibility. I'd be saying, I no longer have the answers or have the ability to find the answers, so I'm going to give it up to somebody else, a third party, to find the answers for us, for our family, for me, for our daughter, for my ex. I just don't agree with it. I don't really agree with it, and I'm looking into it further. I'm doing a lot of reading on this about justice, and I've come across a guy who is called, forgive me a second, John Stuart Mills, and he talks about utilitarianism, and it's a philosophy. He was a philosopher back in the 19th century, a man of great great standing in his thoughts and how he went about explaining what he meant by this, and his theories were very interesting. So I'm going to have a look at that. I'm also having a look at Ubuntu, which is a South African way of reconciliation. And my good friend Sean Clohessy brought this to my attention, and I'm going to look at it. I'm going to look at everything. And it's all about communication. I know this. I know it's all about communication, and that is central to, any success or any goals I have around what's going to happen with our family, my family. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's brought some things to your attention, maybe fired off a few thoughts for you, some questions maybe. Maybe you've got some opinions or views. I'd love to hear from you if you have. And I'll throw this open to single or separated mothers as well as separated dads. I want this to be an open forum. I know the blog says it's a group for separated dads and kids, but in terms of the blog itself, it's open. And I'd much prefer to have a balanced view on this from mothers and from fathers. And it's non-judgmental, so feel free, be free. The one boundary I do set actually is that there's no fighting on the forum, on the commentary. When it gets to that point, it will be moderated if it becomes personal. It's not about bringing personalities into this. It's about actually looking at the subject of communication, justice, rights, and how it affects the impacts and effects of that within the family environment and separated families. So anyway, as I say, I'm looking forward to hearing from you. If you do have anything, do send it my way. And yeah, that's it for now. Bye for now. Have a good evening.